She domination to dimension the tragic demise of Wendy Williams.
Celebrity gossip has been an American staple since the birth of Hollywood, but in the 90s and 2000s, exposing celebrities or revealing their darkest secrets to millions of people became a billion-dollar business of its own. Wendy Williams always dreamed of being a cog in the wheel of the Hollywood media machine, and she carefully crafted a formula to build an empire of her own. Wendy understood the public's insatiable curiosity to dive into the personal struggles and scandals of celebrities, realizing that gossip not only humanized stars, but also fueled their cultural relevance. But walking the fine line between entertainment and exploitation came with its own set of risks, which she had to face when confronting Tupac Shakur and the all-powerful Sean Diddy Combs. And after nearly 30 years of dominance, the tables turned, and Wendy herself became the subject of relentless scrutiny, with her personal struggles splashed across
with the celebrities and the drugs.
Headlines. She could not adapt to modern times, her show was cancelled, and she disappeared from her glamorous
looking like Michael Jackson
gossip empire. However, we would sadly find out that she wasn't necessarily cancelled because her fans got tired of her, but rather because she is facing some serious health problems that she may never recover from. To compound these issues, it could all just be a setup by some shady people
with the eyes
surrounded by Wendy. They may be over-exaggerating or straight up lying about her alleged dementia to trap her in a conservatorship and steal her multi-million-dollar fortune. This is
actually scary, bro.
The wild world of Wendy Williams. Wendy always considered herself the black sheep of her family. Wendy grew up in the late 60s and early 70s as the middle child of a middle-class family in suburban New Jersey. During the heat of the civil rights movement, with cultural tensions at an all-time high, her parents, Shirley and Thomas, obtained a high level of education, sharing a total of 3 master's degrees. My father is always quoting Shakespeare, says Wendy. I call it crazy, but in actuality, it's intellectually just
do they get their job though?
Over my head. Wendy felt like she was living in the shadow of her old
masters and jobless.
Their sister Wanda's flawless academic performance. Wanda was a straight-A law school graduate, and Wendy graduated high school ranking 360th in a class of 363. There were 3 people academically stupider than me. In addition to Wendy being intellectually inferior to her family and friends, she was often bullied for her dark skin and weight.
I learned to have my own inner strength. I had to fake confidence until I actually believed it. And unfortunately, that meant being very introspective and missing out on a lot of the things that kids participated in. Like, I've never been to a prom. I don't know what that's like. I was tall and I was overweight, and I was reminded
I think it's true for every Asians
of that by my siblings and my parents every single day.
My father, the first man who loves you, the first message about my weight is, Wendy, you have such a pretty face if you just lose some weight. I would get weighed constantly by my mother and father.
One of Wendy's tricks, step on the scale, and then she would lean to one side so that the needle would move downward instead of upward.
It might have been maybe too many mashed potatoes.
However, her parents say that her childhood was totally fine and normal because she never spoke up about her feelings.
Of course, every parents think that.
They never came home teary. She never came home angry in terms of what's this kid said and what that kid said. No. And for some reason, I guess Wendy just internalized things. You know.
But nor did she fight.
No.
Nor did she fight.
No.
Did she fight back?
No.
And stand up for herself, or say, I'm not fat, or I'm not tall, or get out of here, leave me alone.
Yes.
She didn't do that.
To escape the harsh realities of not being accepted by her family and peers,
actually blaming her.
Wendy would lock herself in her room, studying the National Enquirer, catching up on celebrity gossip and the latest trends. When she wasn't reading magazines, she'd be playing with transistor radios, dreaming of one day being able to broadcast her voice.
Radio and cassette recorder. I used to play the roving reporter, and I would interview my little brother, Tommy. He's 3 years younger than me, about anything. So, what'd you have for dinner? Did you like it? What did you do? And then I would play back and listen to myself. I just loved radio. The people who did it, they all sounded like they had such cool, fabulous lives. They talk about the parties they were going to, and Donna Summers is coming to town, and they'd be at this restaurant and that restaurant. I said, I want to be cool too. So I knew that when I grew up, I wanted to be either a newscaster or I wanted to be a radio broadcaster.
After high school, Williams attended Northeastern University in hopes of becoming a television anchor. She ended up switching from television communications to radio to advance her career faster. Wendy was young, full of ambition and energy. She would take the train from Boston to Grand Central in New York just to listen to her favorite DJ's broadcasts. In Boston, she secured an internship at Kiss 108. However, she was not content just being behind the scenes. In a desperate attempt to secure airtime, she entered the building in rhinestones from head to toe, before storming into the studio while they were in the middle of recording. Wendy wanted to be on air, Maddie Siegel told The New Yorker. I look at interns as people who are going to bring me my coffee, but she, from day one, went, okay, which microphone do I use? Wendy explains, virtually everything in life I have plotted on to get. Nothing has happened by fluke. After graduating college, she moved around frequently in an attempt to find a radio station that felt like home and best fit her skill set. Wendy was a hustler, sacrificing time with family and friends to achieve a dream that they didn't really understand.
And I got a weekend gig in New York. So I would do weekdays at WOL in Washington and drive up on Fridays after my shift, which would end at 7 o'clock. And I'd be on all weekend long over in Queens. And then I would drive back to DC. And I would never even stop at my parents' house. Never had time for friends because everybody was kind of not understanding my dream and kind of laughing at me or something, or trying to, my friends
I can't have to sacrifice something.
were like real immature and stupid and wanting to party and hang out, and I'm on a path. And my parents were very, oh, do you want something to eat? What is this crazy thing you're doing called radio? I would sleep in my Subaru. They gave me a Subaru for college graduation. I would sleep in my car at every rest stop between New York and Washington, D.C. to block out the noise of people
telling you can't do it.
Right. I would literally I'd have a blanket, an alarm clock, and a quilt. And I would take a bird bath in the bathroom. I'd be woken up by the man sweeping next to my Subaru looking at me because I'm like the crazy, girl and I had a baby shade without a baby. Pull the baby shade down.
Unfortunately, this lifestyle was eating away at her. To cope with the pressure of working in media and entertainment, Wendy developed. She was constantly in a haze, which may have initially fueled her animated persona. Her addiction got out of control, sometimes snorting 2 grams of 4 days a week. During her shift, Wendy would play an extended track of Noel Pagan's Silent Morning, which gave her just enough time to sneak into the bathroom and get high. One night, Wendy took a hit so hard that it knocked her unconscious. When she regained consciousness, the air had been dead for over 3 minutes. Fortunately, her bosses weren't paying attention, but it wasn't long before they caught on to what she was doing, and ultimately, she was fired. For the first time in her professional life, Wendy hit an all-time low. She went from sleeping in her car to finally achieving a small slice of fame like she had always wanted, and now it felt like her dream was slipping away. But Wendy wasn't going to go down easy. Williams spent her time sending out audition tapes throughout New York City. She briefly worked overnight shifts at WPLJ before finding a permanent position at 98.7 Kiss FM. There, she began gossiping about rappers and celebrities during a segment called Dish the Dirt, where Wendy, for better or for worse, started to deeply understand the Hollywood gossip engine. And there, she developed a genius formula that would begin her takeover of New York radio. At the start, she would interview low-profile celebrities, creating a symbiotic relationship where she would help the artist reach a mainstream audience in exchange for something scandalous about their personal lives. But it wasn't long before she caught the attention of some heavy hitters in the industry, because without a doubt, Wendy was the show.
I just want to thank everybody for listening, because although you might think I sit up here and diss and everything like that, I'm just a positive person trying to do a positive thing, trying to have a little bit of fun and make my mark in the world. Thank you very much for listening to Kiss.
Yeah, so I was just a positive person.
Really?
Wendy, why do you diss people?
Oh, Ralph, let me tell you something. I heard something about you. If you turn off the camera, I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Her often combined with her outspoken personality made her extremely unpredictable. It was the kind of thing that captivated listeners. Nobody knew what she was going to say next. According to Vinnie Brown, he dealt with record executives who called up and said, "Hey, your girl is talking about my artist. I can't tell you the amount of times people like Bill Cosby, Puffy, Russell Simmons called me directly, and I just had to let them go off about something that Wendy said, and I'd be smiling without them knowing." And while this may
Bill Cosby,
have been good for ratings, sometimes Wendy would take things too far. She seemingly did not care about the legality of her claims, nor did she ever think she would face repercussions for her actions. A recurring segment on her show was discussing what rappers in the industry are on the down low, or hiding from the public.
There were hip-hop back in the 80s too, that was what's worse, hip-hop wearing skirts or hip-hop being closeted and having a plethora of kids to prove manhood, that and denial of something that you shouldn't have to deny, which is your sexuality. We come from a very
like drag
era of hip-hop as well. There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendywilliams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such, and now it's all come full circle.
She even spread a rumor that Tupac Shakur had been in prison. And it's important to understand that very few topics were more taboo in the hip-hop world has always been prevalent in the hip-hop community. Hypermasculinity was a dominant theme in hip-hop culture, and any deviation from traditional notions of masculinity was often stigmatized, suggesting a did more harm to their reputation than you could imagine, and Tupac perceived Wendy's comments as an act of war. Tupac denied the rumor after one of his first interviews after being released from jail.
The media, they make me act like I act. I'm in jail, they reporting that I'm getting from jail. I'm sitting in jail, niggas is begging on my door, going, win! Why you ain't say that? What's going on? Talking about, I got to jail. Ain't this, You did an interview with somebody, you said that, yeah, it's about that. No, I didn't even talk to them. They got that from somebody else.
Tupac recorded a diss track that was released posthumously titled Why You Turn On Me. He rapped, I put Jenny Craig on your fat ass. You fat troll. Anybody ever seen Wendy Williams' fat ass? Why you always wearing spandex, you fat
Trolling, huh?
I know I'm putting Jenny Craig on you. Since Wendy had struggled with her body image her whole life, these comments must have stung pretty hard. Yet throughout her 25-year career, she never truly dove deep into how she felt about Tupac's song. But oddly enough, she seems to be grateful for it. In 2012, she told The Hollywood Reporter, without those song mentions, I might not be on TV right now. There is a large segment who may have never
it is what it
heard about me on the radio, but they heard Tupac tell me I needed
popularity, I guess.
to go to Jenny Craig, or Mariah Carey tell me that I'm all up in her business, so I love them for that. Some artists even demanded that Wendy be fired for her unapologetic gossip, but the exact opposite happened. Her success at Kiss FM made her a highly valuable asset. Her rise in popularity became so great for the station that she got her own solo shift, which only affirmed Wendy's belief that, when it comes to Hollywood, bending the rules is fair game, as long as you become a star yourself. By 1993, Williams was the highest rated host in her time slot in New York City. That same year, she received a Billboard Radio Award for R&B Major Market Radio Air Personality of the Year. Due to 98.7 Kiss FM's change in ownership, Williams was transferred back to Hot 97, which had become the #1 hip-hop station in the region. She was now an afternoon host on the most culturally relevant radio station in the biggest city in the country. Wendy had officially cracked the code. She, like many of her listeners, was curious about the lives of the rich and the famous. She noticed that the industry encouraged her behavior for the sake of mutual benefit. Gossip humanizes celebrities. It offers glimpses into their personal struggles, which can make them seem more relatable, or at least serve as a source of entertainment. Then again, many celebrities just want the conversation to be around their craft, whether it be music, movies, sports, or other areas of entertainment. What Wendy realized is that the general public doesn't want to talk about the craft, so she essentially spent the rest of her career trying to walk that perfect line of discussing and criticizing celebrities while not damaging her own reputation or putting herself in danger. But luckily, she was prepared for the danger that was coming her way. Wendy met a man named Kevin Hunter at a roller rink in New Jersey. Kevin enticed Wendy because she was looking for a thug. He was the one who protected her, recalled music director Vinnie Brown. She had threats on her life. People were sending wrapped in newspaper to the radio station. The relationship inspired her to quit cocaine, which she says in her memoir she swapped for the fulfillment of romance. Hunter had effectively become her husband, manager, and personal security all at once as she had replaced one addiction with another. It was as
So where's the eyebrow?
if she was addicted to Kevin in a weird way, a former colleague of Williams told The New Yorker. She sort of picked up him, and he was just as bad for her. Wendy now had unimaginable power. She was platformed by a media powerhouse, and was being personally protected by a roughneck husband. Despite this, Wendy had finally crossed a line with a celebrity who had much more power than her, Sean Diddy Combs. Wendy knew the best way to rile people up was just make an accusation that a male celebrity was nobody was
Not the Diddy guy.
safe. She even suggested that her own co-worker, Angie Martinez's boyfriend, rapper Q-Tip, Wendy. Every rapper you could think of in that era, I had heard Wendy Williams. Not one or two, like every one of them. And when Angie went to confront Wendy, things got physical. I lost my effing mind. Before I knew it, I was swinging at her. It was a quick scuffle. It took only a few seconds for me to realize that she wasn't really hitting me back. She was just trying to get me off of her. At the time, Wendy created a website, GoWendy.com. The site featured celebrity photos, rumors, and received up to 100,000 views per day. In April of '97, Williams acquired a photo of Puff Daddy that may have convinced the public that, and she was letting her listeners know that she was planning on releasing the photo. Puffy's bodyguard, Gene Deal, remembers the photo clearly.
We were in Cancun, and we were on our way to the Island of Women. And this is all it was, bro. For whatever reason, dude was playing with Puff. He went behind him and grabbed his trunks. Some girls that was taking pictures. They took that picture and emailed it back to Wendy Williams.
Okay, this is just a war
Said
story.
she had him in a compromising position, and like it was, and she was going to put it out. They stopped her from putting it out.
Diddy's ex-business partner, Kirk Burroughs, also remembers doing everything they could to prevent her from putting out the photo.
Wendy Williams was announcing in her super highly rated afternoon show that she had big news coming. I said, yo, what's going on? We started calling everybody. He was calling me. He got a heads up. He started calling the bosses at Hot 97. The street team was listening. They heard, the executives heard. We instantly all left the office, 19th Street, some in cabs, some in cars, some running all the way down to Hudson Street where Hot 97 was to get down there just to handle the situation and make sure that that picture was not exposed to the masses and was not delivered through Wendy Williams.
This scandal was too large to brush under the rug. The station's hands were tied and they suspended Wendy. When she returned from her suspension on air one day, she referred to the girl group Total, who were bad boy signees, as broke hoes after their comments favoring her suspension. And after she made these comments, the members staked outside of Hot 97 to confront her.
I remember I got off the air one day and them Total were downstairs waiting, and everybody upstairs at the radio station is looking down, egging it on, waiting for something to go down.
And since Total was signed to Diddy, it makes people think that he was the reason they tried to her. Ultimately, WQHT, the owners of Hot 97, came to the conclusion that Wendy was a legal liability, and they permanently removed Wendy from the air, causing her fans to protest outside of their offices. And in light of recent allegations against Diddy, many suggest that
This is not fair. I mean, she's bringing in the content.
he used his powers in the industry to get her fired. Charlemagne the God seems to think so.
That was Wendy. Wendy's whole thing was. I knew you, dog.
No, Wendy was throwing that out there. That's why Wendy got fired from Hot 97. Wendy got fired from Hot 97 by Diddy, because that's when Bad Boy was smoking hot.
Wow.
And yeah, she got fired for putting that out there.
This was a major hit for Wendy's turbulent career.
I mean, Diddy says
She was contractually prohibited from taking another New York radio job for 8 months, so she went over to Philadelphia's Power 99 FM station and signed a $250,000 contract. However, while other broadcasters might interpret this as a sign to maybe slow down, stay quiet, play it safe, Wendy continued forward with the shock jock formula that had made her famous. In 2001, having boosted Power 99's listenership, she ultimately returned to New York to reclaim her throne as the queen of radio during Wednesday afternoons at WBLS. This show was called The Wendy Williams Experience, and on this show you got typical Wendy, back like she never left, mouthing off about whatever celebrity drama was permeating throughout the culture, except this time fans would often hear their favorite celebrities call the station to confront Wendy on air. Mariah Carey, Destiny's Child, and even Judge Mathis called up to give Wendy a piece of their mind.
Let's talk about fueling your stuff. You, on the other hand, have admitted.
Absolutely.
Secondly, you continue to show symptoms of your addiction.
Okay.
Lastly,
what are those symptoms? Tell me.
These nasal passages you keep coughing up.
And I did Afrin.
This eternal cold that you continue to have.
Yes,
that you can't have to come to work because every other.
So who is this guy depending? I mean, who actually guessed?
The stupid so low as to blame it on your baby, your newborn. How low can you get? That's about as low as you can get to blame your child. Then, lastly. I'm sure your audience want to know about that. I've heard that rumor.
I'm sure my husband would love that.
Yeah. Oh, he watches? Does he watch when you do it?
Yes, don't you know?
No, I don't know. I didn't know you were that low down. Lastly, we can continue with what I heard about all those. That's what I heard. That's the rumor. Now you want to keep fueling that? Did you write about that in your book?
I wrote about it.
All 8 of them?
Yes, I did.
In 2006, Wendy took things too far when she revealed on her radio show that rapper Method Man's wife, Tamika Smith, had been diagnosed, despite the fact that the rapper and his wife wanted to keep that information private. Following Williams' on-air revelation, Method Man appeared on The Breakdown, where he called out Wendy for outing his family's private information.
I'd like to thank Wendy Williams.
Yeah, that's actually fucked up.
For bringing that to the masses, because she didn't have to go on the radio and say that shit. I like to keep stuff like that private, but yeah, she was sick.
But everything's all right now. All right.
Better than what it was.
Well, then that's what's up.
That's what's up. What it was.
That's what's up, man. I know I'll always go through it. You know what I
be feeling like, yo, that ain't nobody f***ing business right there. Yo, I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it. And that's her business. She didn't want anybody to know about it. You know what I'm saying? And I respected her wishes right there. So for the media to bring that and put that out there like that, I think that shit is mad tacky and disrespectful. Wendy Williams did it. All right, her. She's the one that did it. We still live in our same community where we used to live at. The people that lived around us didn't know she was sick till you said that shit.
But perhaps the most memorable argument from this era was when she went back and forth with Whitney Houston. In 2003, Whitney Houston's label approached the station for her album promotion. However, Whitney's team changed their minds after learning that Wendy would be the one conducting the interview, mainly because of Williams' past coverage of Houston. In an odd turn of events, Whitney called the station directly.
When your husband was incarcerated for those few days, what types of things do you tell her concerning, like, do you say, like, daddy's away visiting Boston?
I wasn't talking to her retard. She was a spare patient. She's a child who has intelligence.
Okay.
My child is smart.
No,
I talk to her, shush your mouth. I talk to her like she's an intelligent human being, okay? And I give her just
Is she rapping?
as much as she can handle for a 9-year-old because I'm her mother, okay? And that's how we deal with it. Never mind what I told her, but she knows the deal.
Well, a lot of parents whose spouse or what have you goes through something, particularly because that was only 8 days, would have either taken him out of school for the 8 days or taken him away from watching TV to, see
I
headlines.
do what I do to protect my daughter, Wendy, just like you would do to protect your son, okay? All right.
You are very defensive, Whitney.
I have to be, Wendy. You talk about me every day.
Well, Whitney,
every other day.
Whitney, you keep yourself in the headlines.
No, Wendy, y'all keep me in the headlines. I mind my business. I try to maintain what I got. I want to know what I'm doing all the time. I don't give a shit about what you're doing all the time. As long as you're healthy and got a sense of you and you're doing the right thing and being a decent person, I can handle that.
This clip perfectly exemplifies
I mean, she's making the content. So.
Wendy Williams formula. Bring up a bunch of alleged rumors, scandals, or controversies in a passive-aggressive tone, then when the person gets offended, which is extremely normal, accuse them of overreacting. This is textbook gaslighting. The only difference is, this time, Whitney was not giving in, and was able to debunk every one of Wendy's arguments. And while you may think that Wendy might have felt embarrassed by her behavior or some sort of shame, she felt the exact opposite. In fact, this interview was conducted off-air. Wendy chose to air it after. I thought the issue was dead, the station manager recalled. The next thing I know, Wendy is running down the hallway telling me, "Boss, you ain't gonna believe what I got on tape." This interaction is another example of Wendy realizing that all of this chaos and drama, even if she is the one who looks bad, is good for business. Ratings are priority number one. Humility, shame, and dignity all come after. But it's hard to blame her when, again, she only kept getting rewarded by the Hollywood machine for this behavior. Wendy got an opportunity to host a made-for-television version of The Wendy Williams Experience, which aired on VH1. She and her co-host,
I mean, this one that makes money, so.
Charlamagne the God, were able to broadcast their show to the entire country.
You guys better like having extra fun. You didn't admit it to me.
Lucy, stop it! Denial is a river in Egypt. Your husband, he's guys. If you want to stay, there's nothing wrong with it. To each his own when it comes to relationships, Lucy.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately, the show was canceled after one season, and it seems like Wendy's dreams of transitioning from radio to television were looking bleak. However, in 2008, Debmar Mercury approached her and wanted to offer her a job as the host of a new daytime talk show, The Wendy Williams Show.
Wendy Williams Show is set apart from the other shows because I'm giving the Wendy. And I'm not a polished journalist. I'm just a nosy woman from the suburbs of New Jersey, and I want it all.
Fox signed a deal with Debmar Mercury to broadcast the show nationally on their stations, beginning in July of 2009. BET also acquired cable rights to air the program at night, and in 2010, BET International started airing the show in 54 different countries. The show was an overnight sensation, with 2.4 million daily viewers on average, as Wendy alternated daily with Ellen DeGeneres as the #1 female host on daytime TV. While Ellen focused more on feel-good entertainment, comedy, and heartwarming stories, Williams knew what her audience wanted: to discuss celebrities' personal lives, controversies, and scandals.
I just learned that Chris Brown was leaving an airport. His Twitter name is Mechanical Dummy, and he twittered that one of the men around him reminded him of me, Wendy Williams. In other words, he's calling me a man. Well, you know what? At least if I was a man, then I would spend my time bullying other men, perhaps, and not other women. What this young man doesn't understand is that, old Miss Wendy has been around for a while regarding radio, and I've got a huge funny bone. And before I make a joke about anybody else, I can break myself down head to toe and make jokes. A long time ago, many, many moons ago, I made the correlation between my persona and that of a drag queen. So therefore, Chris Brown wasn't saying anything. I tell you what the young junior can do, though. He can go get himself some help, because that there is a fact.
Wendy's ability to make the audience feel like they were just chatting with a friend over the juiciest news contributed significantly to the show's popularity.
Somebody said in our Hot Topics meeting that he's not aging the way a lot of 40-year-olds age, like he's aging fast. Maybe it's the thin hair, receding hairline, and the beard. I don't know. It doesn't matter. He still gets the girls, any girls he wants. He was spotted leaving a club with not one, not 3 women, 20.
Leonardo
And we don't know whether he was going back there and having sex with all of them. Maybe 5 of them were having sex together and
only likes under 20 years
he
old.
watched. And then maybe he would jump in and then jump out and then take a shower and leave the girls for themselves. Then maybe call in his security guards to take a turn. Like, you just don't know.
Wendy developed her Hot Topic segment, which was essentially an ongoing gossip series where she kept her audience up to date on the latest drama. Some recurring hot topics were Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Taylor Swift, Lindsay Lohan, the royal family, the Kardashians, Ariana Grande, Diddy, and other major A-listers.
Guess who's jealous of Adele? Beyonce. According to In Touch magazine, Beyonce feels overshadowed by Adele. Beyonce and Kim Kardashian have both lost their crowns because it's all about Taylor Swift. So Taylor has officially become the most popular person on Instagram. What I love about this story is that she's become popular without ever having to... But like Taylor is, do you know what I mean? The idea that, that Kim has become famous by laying on her back, that Beyonce, while a beautiful and talented girl, everything, a lot on her social media is more sexualized. And all Taylor does is expose pictures of her cat.
Throughout the show's meteoric run, Wendy's
they're using what they can to promote.
Unfiltered commentary ranged from cheeky references to unhinged takes on extremely dark issues, like when she called R&B singer Trey Songz dreamy while discussing his...
So Trey Songz was arrested yesterday. That he was dating. They were at a party. There were a lot of people around who witnessed this, according to the woman. He was charged. Isn't he just so dreamy? I mean, I do believe I heard, and Norman did too, one of our co-hosts over here, we're not going to zoom in on her, say, beat me.
He beat up a woman. Audience gasps in shock. But isn't he so dreamy? Oh my god, yes. Her audience are like primary school kids. Karrueche Tran, Chris Brown's ex-girlfriend, filed a 5-year restraining order against Chris.
What is this profile picture?
And won. Brown allegedly texted, "And I promise I will make your life hell." Tran claimed in a sworn statement that Brown had previously, quote, and pushed me down the stairs. But Wendy Williams thought Karrueche had ulterior motives.
We know why Karrueche was with Chris Brown. She claims, that she was with Chris because, nice personality and whatever. She was with Chris because she's a thought who's after the dollar. I mean, this is not exactly a girl who has her own business and her own coins. That's the stupidest question ever to ask a girl of this nature. Like, why is she with a celebrity who's wealthy? Duh.
Wendy was oddly hypocritical in the way that she criticized women for things that she openly struggled with. She criticized Lil' Kim for her botched plastic surgeries when Wendy had multiple plastic surgeries herself. She claimed Ariana Grande was too small to be a real woman due to her height and frame.
She's the size of a baby. She's only 5 feet. It's not like I'm saying that, So she's just
but people actually like short girls.
A little munchkin. She's probably 80 pounds soaking wet. So first of all, the carrying is not like carrying a fully formed woman. She's 21. She'll forever look 12, which, and I don't mean that in a good way. I mean that in a, it's nice to look younger than you are, but when you look too young and then you're short, she's only like 4 feet 11. I don't look at her as like a woman, and she will. She hits notes and sings about love. Like, what do you know about love? It's just, I guess, a stereotype for somebody who's like 4 feet 11 and with big googly eyes.
Williams also called out Beyonce's poor speaking skills and called her uneducated, despite Wendy being bullied by her friends and family as a child for not having the same academic prowess that they had.
So I'll be able to understand what she says. Beyonce can't.
She's just projecting it at this point.
Talk. Beyonce sounds like she's got a 5th grade education. She can't talk. Excuse me, I just said I'm a fan, but we have to call a spade a spade.
And while Wendy was willing to tone down her outlandish takes and intrusive thoughts while inviting a guest onto her show, she still would apply pressure and ask questions her audience wanted to know.
Game has a song, and in the song you clearly hear him say that he slept with 3 Kardashians. Now I've got a picture of an array of Kardashians, including the mother, because, okay, Have you slept with Chloe?
If a celebrity was scheduled for an interview on the Wendy Williams show, they needed to be prepared for Wendy to ask them about their relationship status, substance abuse issues, and feuds, among other gossipy things.
The big thing happened at the Bunny Ranch. You were only there for a few days.
I mean, I wasn't there for a day.
You weren't there for a day?
I woke up in a coma. I don't know if I spent more than a day there. I don't think so.
Okay. Were you high, Lamar?
No. I think that was God just trying to talk to me, get me to stop doing whatever I was doing. Because I didn't take any drugs that night.
How many women were in the room?
2. And I didn't have sex.
So you didn't do drugs, but by the way, the toxicology report showed that you had cocaine in your system. Real talk.
Okay, but I didn't.
Okay.
However, much like her time on the radio, Wendy still felt the need to push things over the line for shock value, like the time
And I was failed miserably.
she was fishing for gossip from Lindsay Lohan while her entire family was in the live audience.
There's a picture in the tabloids a few years ago, and there's a whole bunch of white powder around your feet.
Oh, baby powder. You know this, your girl. If your shoes are too tight, you either put lotion or baby powder so they slide in easier.
Gotcha.
Ballerinas do it all the time.
Gotcha.
But seriously, in all honesty, if that were anything else, who's gonna put it in their shoe?
People who want numb feet? Are you had a romantic relationship with Samantha Ronson?
No, I like men.
Okay. Well, you liked a girl at one point.
Yeah. I was living in LA.
Or when she was extremely distasteful while asking about the details of Kelly Rowland.
But what I was shocked about is that you were...
I was in a relationship that was so hard on me.
How many years?
It was a long time. Nobody knew about it, of course. Like I said, you'll never know. In the song, I make that very clear. But even thinking about it is just so crazy. You know what I mean? That I could actually not think even more of myself in that time to get out of it. You know what I mean? And I think that's what is so important about Dirty Laundry to me, is because I wanted young girls to know if they are in these relationships, they got to get out.
Mental abuse.
I'd rather not get into the details of it because I don't think that's important. To me, the most important thing was sharing the message, telling young girls that
I really like the details, huh?
this is real, and letting them know I'm human.
I'm sure you're noticing a pattern here. Celebrities know that Wendy is going to go fishing, so they have to do their best to remain calm, collected, and professional, because if it was up to Wendy, they would get messy. You can see this on full display when Tiana was trying to talk about her art, and then Wendy interrupted her to bring up gossip. Tiana had to remain calm and steer the conversation back.
A lot of emotion in that dance.
She had a best friend who slept with her man, okay? Now let's break it down. Are you still friends with her? Okay. Look, only because Tiana, there are a lot of dumb girls who would forgive the friend and stay with.
Oh, girl, I ain't seen her since.
Wendy violated by even bringing up her friend sleeping with her man. Sometimes celebrities have to set the record straight. They will not tolerate Wendy's behavior.
The hell was that?
I said, smooth you out.
Smooth me out. What does that mean?
We're trying to have a nice conversation.
Let's have a conversation.
Oh, no, I know how to chill, but I will not be disrespected. Okay. This is not time for you to look for your moment. I invited you here.
Oh, I know how to find my moment.
I understand. We're going to talk about the book.
All right, well, let's get to it, Wendy.
I want to look at it and show it to well.
50 Cent was one celebrity who was not willing to put up with Wendy's criticism of his parenting.
When there was violence at the end.
50 and his son Marquise have had a tumultuous relationship which has been very public. When Marquise turned 21, 50 made a joke post that he would be throwing a child support release party, and Wendy thought that was a low blow.
Oh, please, he is petty spaghetti. No, I don't really think he's throwing a party. I just think he's being petty on social media. And Marquise, I'm sorry that all this is happening for you. Anyway, 50 apologized afterwards, saying he's insensitive because he never met his dad. 50 is how old now? 40? 42. 42. Too old to be blaming some of his adult behavior on his lack of childhood rearing. You're 42. You got a 21-year-old son. You know, get your life.
Although this seems like moderate criticism, 50 clapped back extra hard. He posted a picture of her in a bikini on Instagram with the caption that read, "Wendy Williams just told me to get my life together," shaking my head. "Your husband is not a bad man. He deserve a side chick for talking to you. You ugly MFer. Focus on your own shit, bitch. Oh yeah, we in Club Lust tonight. You're invited, LOL." He made another post on Instagram letting her know that she messed with the wrong one and he would not hold his tongue. But their beef
What is this picture?
continued a year later when 50 Cent threw a party in New Jersey and Wendy Williams was able to get in. As we saw from a picture she took with Snoop Dogg, apparently she just went to see Snoop and then left to avoid 50. Once the news was given to him that she showed up, he was furious.
I don't know what she was even doing there. I'm not going to Wendy Williams' parties.
Would you go to her show?
Yeah, my party, huh? Why she there? She knew I was at that party. Why she going to that party? Snoop is only in New York because of me. Why she going to see Snoop? Go see him another time, but I'm not there. I'll come where I'm at. I don't like you, okay? I don't like you. You said things about me, and now I don't like you because you did it for years.
As we all know, 50 is a master troll, so whenever he felt like being petty, he would just throw up a picture making fun of Wendy. And as Williams' fan base grew, so did the number of people questioning her invasive strategy, believing that Wendy's ego had finally got out of control. While some took the good with the bad and claimed, that's just Wendy, others started to see the Wendy Williams show as sort of a mindless cult that didn't actually think about the things Wendy was saying.
Should she suffer? All right, clap if you think she should suffer. Clap if you've ever wanted to.
Even Wendy would say things that genuinely shocked herself, like the time she wished Spears' parents.
It's only a joke, right?
You, Mr. Spears, you had me fooled. And you too, Mrs. Spears.
all of them.
Wendy Williams was hard to read. The moral lines were constantly blurred. Is it hypocrisy, or is she playing both sides for provocation? Does she lack self-awareness, or does she understand that the hate will make the show reach new viewers? Do celebrities actually care about her gossiping about them, or are they just playing the victim? No one can say for sure, but whatever it was, Wendy was getting rewarded for every scandal, and the media engine that she created wasn't slowing down. Unfortunately, her health was going to be a major factor in halting her career. In October of 2017, The Wendy Williams Show held their annual Halloween episode where Wendy came out dressed as the Statue of Liberty. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, but something was a bit off with Wendy, something that didn't match her usual eccentric persona, and suddenly she collapsed on stage.
I remember this.
Our first arrest.
As the audience gasped, the show immediately cut to a commercial. When the show returned, Wendy, still in costume, was already back on stage and explained that she fainted from overheating. That was not a stunt, Wendy said. I overheated in my costume and I did pass out. But you know what? I'm a champ and I'm back. A spokesperson from the show told EW that Wendy overheated from her heavy costume, makeup, and the lights. However, Wendy was able to finish the show and would return the following day to film again. And of course, the internet memed this moment into oblivion. However, what seemed like a one-off silly moment was actually a sign of something much scarier.
Did you know you were gonna faint?
Yes. When we came back from the break, then I felt it. It felt like I was in the middle of a fire. It's starting down at my feet, going all the way up. I got very scared because it was a live show. I was more concerned with, when I fall, am I going to crack my skull? Yeah. And security here thought that the bug-eyed look I gave was part of a stunt. Because I'm always doing tricks. This is the trick show. We're always doing tricks and stunts.
Yeah, Halloween.
Yeah, so they thought that was a part of something, so nobody came out until I hit the ground. Then, oh my gosh, chaos ensued.
Less than 4 months after she fainted on live television, Williams announced that she would be taking an indefinite hiatus to be treated for Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune disorder that causes the thyroid gland to become overactive, also known as hyperthyroidism. In Graves' disease, the immune system mistakenly attacks the thyroid, a butterfly-shaped gland in the neck that produces hormones regulating metabolism. This attack causes the thyroid to produce excessive hormones, speeding up the body's metabolism. This disease can cause a person to have heart palpitations and tremors, rendering them anxious, irritable, and shaky. In roughly 30% of patients, including Wendy, the disease can inflame the muscles and tissues around the eyes. This would be the accurate explanation behind Wendy's bulging eyes. Wendy's health complications seemed more alarming than she led her audience to believe, but she would return to The Wendy Williams Show after a 3-week hiatus, where she opened up about putting her health first.
21 days hiatus. And this is coming from the woman who told me not that long ago, I don't take days off.
I don't take sick days. In the entire almost 10 years of doing the show, I've never taken a sick day. Really, Amy, it was a perfect storm.
Well, there you go.
Perfect storm that had been brewing, I have to say, internally, knowing my body, since late July.
Wendy reassured everyone that she felt 100% better than she had a few months prior, trying to convince her audience that this was just a phase, and to try to forget that that accident ever happened. That wouldn't last long. A year later, Wendy revealed to her audience that she had been staying at a sober living house.
Caught up in their addiction and looking for help. They don't know I'm Wendy. They don't care I'm Wendy. There's no autograph. There's no nothing. It's the brothers and sisters caught up in the struggle. Nobody knew, because I look so glamorous out here. After I finished my appointments to see my brothers and sisters, and I am driven by my 24-hour sober coach back to a home with a bunch of smelly boys who've become my family. They hog the TV and watch soccer, and we talk and read and talk and read, and then I get bored with them. Doors locked by 10 p.m., lights out by 10 p.m., so I go to my room, and I stare at the ceiling, and I fall asleep to wake up to come back here to see you.
At the end of the segment, Williams promoted a 24/7 hotline launched by the Hunter Foundation, which she founded with her husband and son. Wendy said the hotline had already placed 56 people from around the world in recovery centers. Unfortunately, 50 Cent used this as a time to take some shots at her. He posted on Instagram a picture of her looking disheveled with the caption, "I knew something was up with this bitch. It was the drugs. She better not talk about me, then go to rehab every day." Wendy's health wasn't the only aspect of her life seeing a steep decline. By 2018, the same unforgiving attitude from the 90s that many had grown to love no longer appeared to have a place in today's climate. While many characters from the shock jock era aimed to soften their approach, Wendy was Wendy. She just didn't seem to see the writing on the wall. During an episode of The Wendy Williams Show, she addressed the allegations of against musician R. Kelly, where, in the eyes of many, she seemingly held the victims accountable. After learning that the hashtag #MuteRKelly was trending on Twitter as a protest to remove Kelly from the music industry, Williams made her first real critical mistake.
I'm sick of this Me Too movement. You know, I love that people are speaking up for the first time and coming out and everything, but I look at all men like you're a Me Too. All of them.
Oh no.
All of them. Which is not fair.
Wendy said, the multiple allegations of R. Kelly holding women in his home, where are their parents? Allegedly, the parents are complaining, but where are their parents? It has nothing to do with Me Too. R. Kelly is just a very sick man. She then had the audience clap if they still listened to R. Kelly, which they did. Wendy continued slipping. For the first time in years, her finger wasn't on the pulse of American pop culture. She may have still had the loyalty of her aging fan base, but she didn't seem to have that same
did any research, I guess,
awareness she once had, a deep understanding of the latest shifts in public consciousness. The founder of the Me Too movement, Tarana Burke, would express her disappointment in a series of tweets. I heard what Wendy said yesterday and was disgusted by it. This is why black women and girls are hesitant about coming forward with their Me Too. Wendy Williams, who blames the victim. You really I tried to hold my tongue, but I can't. Yes, Wendy said he was sick, but pivoted to blaming the parents. Focus. He is the predator. Period. How dare you get on national TV and say his victims can't save me too? When asked if Wendy felt her comments were more sympathetic to Kelly than the alleged victims, Williams responded, I feel like I know things about R. Kelly that he's told me himself that I promised I would keep in confidence. She told the Washington Post, when I make a promise about keeping something in confidence, I do. And that's that. Wendy just seemed to be
protecting R. Kelly, just kind of weird.
Digging herself a hole deeper and deeper. As if the timing couldn't be worse, a month later, Wendy had a strange interaction regarding a barely legal Marcus Scribner when she asked the Blackish star about his virginity, but he wouldn't answer.
Are you a virgin?
Wendy trying to hit me with the difficult questions.
Answer.
All right, I'll leave it a mystery for the audience to decide.
Then Wendy discovered in 2019 that her husband Kevin had a secret family
Yeah, that's just kind of weird.
on the side. Her husband's infidelity had been a point of speculation for years. As her reputation began spiraling down, nobody outside of her fan base really felt sorry for her.
You know, stuff happens in life.
Yeah.
Stuff happens, and it's okay. I've still got a very full life that I really endured. Please don't make me cry.
Okay, I won't.
I'm sorry. Oh my God. I didn't plan on this, but it is what it is. I have got to go eat my food with potato salad and everything, and I got to get on the plane in the morning, but I have a very full life. Thank you for watching. I would ask you to respect our privacy, but please, I don't respect people's privacy. That's why I do the hot topics. So Turnabout is a fair game, but all three of us are doing fine.
Are we gonna see the three of you guys? Yeah, I mean, together, maybe not as a married.
Yes, of course you will. Kevin's got to graduate from college. He's going into sophomore year. He's going to get married or whatever. He's going to celebrate. Yes, everybody's got to grow
And
up.
is he gonna be back with his father again?
Yes,
Okay.
they're not apart. I mean, you know, stuff happens in life.
In January of 2020, amid the blockbuster success of Todd Phillips's Joker, Wendy mentioned actor Joaquin Phoenix. She called him oddly attractive before using her finger to pull up a part of her lip to resemble a cleft palate.
When he shaves off his mustache, he's got a hairline fracture. He's got one of those, what do you call it? Cleft lip. Cleft palate. He's got this. He's got this. No, I find it to be very attractive.
This angered people around the world, including Canadian football player Adam Bighill, who has a son born with a cleft lip. After a week of campaigning for Wendy to apologize, including a petition in favor of firing her that garnered over 70,000 signatures, she apologized
I mean, this is not
to Adam Bighill and also made a charitable
we
donation
shouldn't make fun of that. Come on
to
now.
Operation Smile and
It's actually low blow.
the American Cleft Palate Craniofacial Association. But pop star Cher thought this wasn't good enough and demanded that Wendy be fired. Less than a month later, Williams found herself in another controversy after she criticized gay men for wearing skirts and high heels to comments came during a segment about Galentine's Day, the fake holiday inspired by Parks and Recreation. Wendy apologized, I did not mean to offend my LGBTQ+ community on yesterday's show. One thing I can tell you right now
Come on, never apologize, bro.
is that I never do the show in a place of malice.
She made a mistake there.
I didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just having a conversation. But at this point, people criticizing Wendy's behavior on social media was becoming a repetitive cycle. I'm sorry, she still has a job after this? Really? That's absurd. She's a horrible human. For once, her mindless audience didn't clap. Wendy has made her empire on being a mean girl since the hip-hop radio days. Glad her audience decided to not ride with her on this one. And again, Wendy wasn't exactly known for her empathy reporting on people.
Miss Melody may have passed away, I think.
She passed away? Oh. All right, MC Light.
In 2021, Williams stepped down from The Wendy Williams Show due to her health complications. She would be replaced by several guest hosts in her absence, including actress and comedian Sherri Shepherd, who took a majority of the hosting duties. In what should have been a temporary solution, alarm bells rang in January 2022 when Variety reported that Wendy, who had not made an on-air appearance in months, wouldn't be returning to The Wendy Williams Show anytime soon. To make matters worse, reports indicated that Shepherd had become a fan favorite, emerging as a frontrunner to potentially take over Wendy's time slot. The immediate reaction from many of Wendy's critics was that this was karma, a long-awaited cosmic punishment for making a career out of putting others in the hot seat, only to spill their tea in front of millions of people, whether they like it or not. But tensions cooled a little bit when fresh news started coming out about Wendy, about the horrific series of tragedies she was facing in her personal life. Within the same month of stepping down as America's drama queen, reports surfaced that Wells Fargo had frozen her accounts, requesting a New York Supreme Court hearing to determine whether she needed guardianship due to her health conditions. Williams immediately denied the accusations, pointing the finger at her former manager and raving about a Wells Fargo financial advisor for misconduct. Her attorney, LaShawn Thomas, said in a statement, on behalf of Wendy Hunter, professionally known as Wendy Williams, as counsel to her and her affairs, Wendy wants the world to know that she strenuously denies all allegations about her mental health and well-being. In an affidavit filed with the New York Supreme Court, Williams stated, for more than 2 weeks, Wells Fargo has repeatedly denied my request to access my financial assets, which totaled over several $1 million. I have submitted multiple written requests to Wells Fargo, and I have visited various Wells Fargo branches in the South Florida area in an effort to resolve this matter outside of the courtroom. Suddenly, it was Wendy who was in the hot seat, facing speculation and negative attention from the tabloids she once used as a reference to build her empire. And despite disputing allegations regarding her deteriorating health, a judge appointed a temporary financial guardian in March of 2022. Wendy's attorney told The Hollywood Reporter, if it's the court's intention to have one appointed over her affairs for the long haul, she definitely isn't going to accept that. This all seemed to happen rather fast. Yeah, we knew her physical health may not have been the best over the past few years, but her mental health? And it was apparently so bad that she could not have access to her bank accounts? This seemed to escalate pretty quickly. Fans got even more suspicious when Wendy posted this video to Instagram claiming that her
What actually happened, bro?
financial advisor, Lori Schiller, was setting her up.
My thing is that I've been asking questions about my money. And when I began asking questions about my money, suddenly Lori Schiller has got no response regarding my money.
I want my money. This is not fair. And Lori Schiller and Wells Fargo have this guardianship petition about keeping me away from my money. And this guy named Bernie Young, I know for a fact that Bernie Young used my American Express card to hire an attorney to file a petition against me. That was done with my American Express card.
So Wendy alleges that her team, her financial advisor, and her ex-manager, Bernie Young, have essentially staged a coup against her. They were able to convince a judge that she was mentally unstable and couldn't be in charge of her own finances. It's also even more suspicious that she received a court-appointed guardian instead of one of her family members. Now, this usually requires some sort of medical diagnosis or official documentation to prove that she is unfit to take care of herself. Well, Wendy seems to accuse them of going to an old doctor of hers for medical records that she never received.
And then there's this person, a former doctor had medical information
I'm not sure who to believe now.
about me that I never even got. It was sent over
I
to
think I'll believe the doctor.
Schiller. So I haven't gotten stuff. I fired the doctor. And again, all I want to know is where is my money? This is not right.
After Wendy spoke out, her financial advisor claims she's a prisoner in her own home and had to hire armed security amid death threats. Around the same time, Debmar Mercury announced that the Wendy Williams show would end after 14 seasons. They also announced that Sherry Shepherd, who held the mantle in Wendy's absence, would receive a talk show titled Sherry that would take over the time slots held by Williams' show on the Fox-owned and operated stations. But then in September, Wendy's representatives informed media outlets that Williams had entered a wellness facility and intended to start a new project post-recovery. She's taking some time to focus on her health and wellness as she prepares for a major comeback for the next level in her career with the Wendy Experience podcast. Ms. Williams is being treated by a team of some of the best doctors in the world. We ask for your prayers and well wishes during this time. But this was merely wishful thinking. Wendy would never again sit as a talk show host, spilling tea, making conspiracy theories about the hottest celebrities. It was all over. In November, Williams returned to the public eye, and her health complications were worse than her team had originally predicted. According to her representatives, Wendy was diagnosed with aphasia and frontotemporal dementia in 2023, and subsequently entered a cognitive facility. And from there, whenever she was spotted in public or clips of her made the rounds on social media, fans just looked at it as sad. A documentary titled Where is Wendy Williams aired on Lifetime in February of 2024. The documentary is a brutally honest portrayal of Williams' life in recent years, showing her memory loss and mood swings, along with alcohol abuse. In several scenes, Wendy is shown passed out in bed with an empty bottle her.
Why do you like liquor? Why do you like to drink?
Because I can.
When you have a drink, did you just have it to have it? Or
Yes, yes, absolutely lost it.
because you're stressed out or you're bored or what?
No, just because I care for it. And I've always been bored.
Dementia is something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Regardless of how you feel about her, this is a horrible fate no one deserves. Again, this all happens suspiciously fast. First, she disappears from her show, then she's deemed mentally unfit to manage her finances, and then she has dementia. Even her own son seems unsure if her diagnosis is genetic or alcohol-induced.
They basically said that because she was drinking so much, it was starting to affect her headspace and her brain. So I think they said it was alcohol-induced dementia.
It's also worth mentioning that experts cannot even come close to 100% guaranteeing that frontotemporal dementia is alcohol-induced.
There is no evidence to directly link alcohol and frontotemporal dementia. So about 40% of frontotemporal dementia cases are genetic, and the other 60% of the time, we're not really sure why it happens.
Additionally, Wendy's niece, Alex Finney, did a few interviews suggesting that the documentary that was released that painted Wendy as an alcoholic now suffering from dementia was not 100% accurate.
But yes, as a family, you know that there's more there. People are going to see that throughout the documentary. I think people are going to walk away saying this is more than what we realized in terms of what we've read, whether it's things that might have seen on her show throughout the years that seemed a little off. People are going to walk away with that and say, what is really going on here with her medically?
This has led to reasonable speculation that Wendy is being set up by leeches who are trying to exaggerate her condition to gain control over and steal from her multi-million-dollar fortune.
What I will say in terms of things I have seen over the last 2 years, yes, there were definitely people around her that you do question, why are you here? What's your motive? How are you doing this job? Are you getting paid? Because I'm sure you're not doing it for free. Right. You know, so there were those questions. And then obviously cognitively with seeing my aunt in the state that she's in.
So how about her?
You do wonder, okay, if she did sign off and hire you or whatever the case may be, was she aware of everything?
And this all leads us to where we are today. It's obvious that Wendy has some sort of mental and physical health issues, but is it as bad as we are being led to believe? Does Wendy actually have dementia? And even if she does, how bad does it need to be where she is not allowed to have access to her money? She was seen recently visiting her son's graduation in a wheelchair surrounded by armed bodyguards. Every time she makes a public appearance, her fans are convinced that she is not as unhealthy or cognitively impaired as the reports claim. Therefore, the question remains unanswered. Who benefits the most from Wendy Williams' demise? Wendy's biggest haters see her story as one of poetic justice. After profiting off spreading rumors, exposing celebrities at their lowest moments, and fueling public judgment, she became subject to the same ruthless scrutiny as her life unraveled. However, anyone with a shred of empathy can look at her current health status as nothing short of a tragedy. Dementia is a heartbreaking illness that deeply affects not only the victim, but their friends and family. We all know celebrities only benefit from gossip. Good news or bad news, all they want is for you to be talking about them, as their entire business model revolves around them being culturally relevant. Plus, Wendy was self-aware. She knew she was nosy and pushy, and when she got criticized, although it probably stung at the time and maybe she got a little bit defensive, she took it on the chin and kept pushing because she knew, well, if I do it to other people, they're gonna do it to me. In many ways, Wendy Williams was simply an engineer working for the almighty Hollywood machine. She fought her way up the ranks, understood what people wanted, and gave them exactly what they asked for.
I guess I would ending there.